So if you've spent even 3 seconds online looking for information about electric bikes, you'll have seen people argue about hub motors versus mid-drive motors. The greatest thinkers of our time and in the past have discussed it. Which is better, hub motor or mid-drive electric bicycle? Today, I'm gonna help you answer the question, mid-drive or hub motor? Buckle up. Or I might just end up confusing you all a little bit more. There are so many people that will claim that hub motors are inferior and that mid-drive bikes are king. So I was shocked to find out that I actually preferred hub motor bikes better. More on that later, but for now, let's talk about the differences between a hub motor bike and a mid-drive bike. So for our mid-drive example today, we have the Mokwheel Onyx, which is Mokwheel's new mid-drive bike that they sent me over to show you guys. And for our hub drive example, we have the Happyrun G300 Pro, which is a high-powered rear hub motor bike. Although I will use a few different hub motor bikes for example purposes in this video. So what exactly is a mid-drive e-bike? Well, a mid-drive e-bike has its motor in the middle of the bike, kind of like a motorcycle does. And it sends that power through the chain into the cassette in the rear of the bike. Just like your legs when you're pedaling the bike, the mid-drive sends the power through the chain into the back. Mid-drive bikes are also a lot less common because they are typically more expensive and more complex than hub motor bikes. And with a mid-drive motor like this, you have the advantage of gear reduction, which is going to give you a lot more torque. Think of it like a car or a motorcycle where you have a transmission and you can shift through the gears for different purposes. If you're climbing a hill, you're going to want to be in a lower gear. If you're just cruising at highway speed, you're going to want to be in a taller gear. And with our hub motor bike, you can see this giant thing in the rear hub here is the motor. There's no chain connecting the motor to the rear wheel. The motor is the rear wheel. And so one big advantage of hub motors is that it doesn't rely on this chain to send power to the back. On a mid-drive motor, if you snap the chain, you're out of luck because you can't pedal the bike or use the motor to get home. But on a hub motor like this, the chain is independent of this motor. So if your chain did snap, you would be okay because you could still get home, but let's be honest, this is a dirt bike. You're using this thing throttle only anyways. So one advantage of our hub motor here is that it's way less complex than the mid-drive. There's a lot less maintenance, and if your chain snaps, then you can still ride home on this thing. But there is one issue with hub motor bikes, and that is gear reduction. You don't have the gear reduction like you do on a mid-drive bike, so it's like driving a car around with only one gear. Now, a lot of electric cars don't really have a transmission like a car does anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. You can still get going and everything. You're just gonna not get that torque like you have in a mid-drive bike or on a motorcycle or something. On higher power hub motor bikes, you can kind of overcome that a little bit by just raw power, but typically they're not gonna be as good off the line as a mid-drive would, and they're not gonna be as good at hill climbing as a mid-drive is. So why don't we look at a live example of this, a mid-drive bike versus a hub motor bike climbing a hill. All right, and then this is how it is on a mid-drive bike on the Mokwheel, popping a wheelie, popping a wheelie up the hill. There's just so much more torque on this bike than on the hub motor bikes. I want to do that again because it's fun. I'm going to try and keep my weight over the front. Yeah, just goes up no problem. You can start at the base of the hill and just be on throttle only. All right, and so now this is an example of a really powerful hub motor bike. This is the Wired Freedom. I think it peaks at like 3,200 watts, but we'll do the same thing at the base of the hill. As you can see, we can make it up no problem on the Freedom too. Really, I didn't feel any difference between those two as far as like torque and speed going up that hill. We'll do it one more time and just floor it. The wire takes a second, but it can make it up no problem, just as good as the Mokwheel. All right, so now everybody's favorite bike, the Ridstar Q20. Let's see how this thing handles hills. This has a 1500 watt hub motor, but let's see how this thing climbs a hill. As you can see, not well. Didn't even make it all the way up. I'm gonna shift down into first gear and try that again. Yeah, not a chance. I gotta go up this thing sideways. Really gotta help this thing out. But yeah, that just shows you how much power these mid-drive bikes and even these really high power hub motor bikes have over something like this. And the Q16 right here still feels like a nice bike. I mean, it's a decently powerful bike. This one's a 1500 watt motor on my Ridstar Q16, and that one's a 1300 watt peak, but this one gets up hills so much better, and they're both 48 volt bikes. It just goes to show you how much those gears help out on a mid-drive bike like that. Yeah, so you guys can see how much better this mid-drive performs over the low-powered hub motor, and it performs about the same as the high-powered powered hub. Just goes to show you how much more power you need in order to overcome that hill, because that wired freedom peaks at like 3,300 watts, whereas this peaks at like 1,300 watts. So you need 2,000 watts less out of this motor to get up the same hill at the same speed. And that's all due to how the bike is geared. Obviously on a hub motor, you have one gear, and then on this bike, you have 10 different gears that you can choose. I showed you guys this in my review of the Onyx, but this thing just glides on off-road. This is a super comfortable bike to take off-road, and that air suspension in the back helps out so much. Just fly over this. We're going 26 miles an hour. If you're riding on sand or like really harsh terrain, then a hub motor bike can overheat a little bit more easily than a mid-drive one like this. So there's a lot of debate in the e-bike community about whether mid-drive is better or hub drive. And really between the two, it's not like one's better than the other. It's what do you really need the bike for? Like I said, if you're gonna be climbing hills all the time and you need a lot of torque and a lot of power, then a mid-drive is probably gonna be better. Also, mid-drives tend to feel a little bit more natural, just the way the pedal assist is set up and everything, versus a hub motor, where on some it's just really an unnatural feeling. But on the more expensive, higher quality hub motor bikes, I would say it's about the same as a bike like this with a mid-drive. A hub motor can climb hills like a mid-drive, but again, it's gonna overheat a little bit faster, and it's just gonna go through your battery a lot quicker too. It's just not ideal. A hub motor is not an ideal hill climber. You really want a mid-drive if you're gonna be climbing a lot of hills. But a hub motor is just good for cruising around on the street. And I would say it's good for about 95% of riders, because a hub motor is really easy. You don't have any gears to shift through. And anytime I've had somebody riding this bike, I've had to like explain to them how it works. And it's just an extra layer of complexity. You gotta remember to shift down before you come to a stop. And you know, you have to be shifting up gears. It's a little bit more active. It's a more engaging experience on a mid-drive bike like this. Versus on a hub motor, it's very easy to just put somebody who's new to riding on a hub motor bike, put it in like pedal assist 2 or 3 or something, and then they can be off and they'll be riding on no time. If you're sitting there having to explain the whole gears and how everything works on a mid-drive, it's just not as beginner friendly. Plus, the price is a lot more expensive too, so you're gonna be spending a lot more money, and really at that point you don't even know if you're gonna be using the bike a lot. You're not even gonna know if you like it. So it's really, I wouldn't say to go out and spend all that money and invest all that if you're not sure that that's something that you want. I'm gonna just stop here and I'm gonna floor it from a higher gear and just kind of lug the motor a little bit, just to show you guys what I mean. So from a stop, if I floor it, it takes a lot to get this thing going. Whereas if I shift down a few gears, say I shift it into first gear here, and I come to a stop, I can be popping wheelies. Like, this thing just wants to go. So that's what I mean. You have to be in the right gear for what you're trying to do. So it's just nice to have something that's a little bit more efficient like this, but really what it comes down to is what you're gonna be using the bike on a daily basis for. If you're gonna be doing stuff like this where you're off-roading and climbing up hills, I think you're gonna really benefit from a mid-drive. Let's not forget that E-Motos are also mid-drive bikes too. Surons, Talarias, stuff like that. Those are all mid-drive bikes, and those are very powerful, they're very fast. So as far as power and top speed and everything, mid-drive is absolutely superior to hub motor, because you're just gonna, you look at all the fastest bikes that are out, they're all mid-drive. Also, something to take into consideration when you're buying a hub motor or a mid-drive bike is what noise level do you want? Because this is way louder than most hub motors are. This mid-drive is a lot louder than most hub motors. I've had some hub motor bikes that are almost completely silent. This is a lot louder. You're gonna be making a lot more noise going past people, and it's just a little bit less stealthy. So the Onyx that I'm on, it retails for just over $3,000 right now, I believe. Any discount codes I can get are gonna be in the description on this bike, but that is a lot of money to spend on a bike when you can get the same or even better performance for less money. The Onyx is a really awesome bike, and it's one of my favorite bikes that I've actually ever had. It's just a pricey bike, especially when you look at it for being a 48-volt bike like this. I think if they were able to knock another $1,000 off that price, I think that this would be a really, really no-brainer as far as mid-drive bikes go. So as you can see, hub drive and mid-drive systems are actually pretty different, and I hope that this video helped kind of clear up the debate a little bit and help you find what you personally need for your electric bike. Now, if you come to me asking my opinion in this debate, hub motor versus mid-drive, honestly, I would say that hub motor bikes are probably gonna win 99% of the time, as long as it's a bicycle. If it's a dirt bike or something, an actual dirt bike that's a mid-drive, you're gonna want that. Hub drives aren't really that great for off-roading, so this Happyrun here is kind of a weird thing. It doesn't have the torque of an electric dirt bike, but it also is pretty powerful and can still go off-road. But in my opinion, I typically like electric bicycles as hub motor bikes. The mid-drive ones are just more expensive, and the benefit of that extra torque doesn't really benefit me too much in my everyday use. It's cool to climb hills and everything, but I don't want to have to deal with the maintenance and just the extra upfront cost of a mid-drive bike, although this Mokwheel Onyx is a very good e-bike. Either way, I hope that you guys are out there enjoying your electric bikes, whether they are hub motor or mid-drive. That's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.